The hard evidence was electronic, buried in thousands of records of cell phone calls, pager communications, payphones, fax phone numbers, and computer lines among the three people. "4,000 records were selected and fed into the system. It took over 6 months to enter all this information. Using the webcast timeline, they were able to back up Don's story and prove Fred Andros was lying.
You said early on you didn't have any cell phones. You found out he had 2 cell phones.
Was there any other numbers you used to contact Fred? If I called him at all, you should have that was 914-4545.
They verified that there were multiple calls between Don and Andros. They were even able to track Andros by his EasyPass to confirm that he was meeting Dawn and communicating with her on a cell phone.
He would be with me on my pager number at work. He then in turn would leave the number of one of the pay telephones on the Malden Thruway Plaza properties where I work.
The timeline put him on the New York State Thruway, traveling at a specific start and stop time which matched Dawn's story exactly. 16 timelines were provided to the prosecutor with icons representing Andros, Susan, and Dawn. Each icon told investigators each time one of the three had communicated with each other.
Andros said that he knew Susan only slightly, and that Dawn and Susan were having an obsessive relationship. The timeline showed just the opposite. It was Andros who was obsessed with Susan. There were 700 calls that linked Susan to Andros. There was no contact whatever between the two women. Most significantly, there were 70 phone calls between Andros and Dawn shortly before the murder. The timeline also confirmed what Dawn had told police, that she had paged Andros a few minutes after she had killed Susan.
After completing the homicide, you paged Fred from a telephone. That's correct. They dialed in a 3-digit number, all the same digits, 666 or 999. That would let him know that I had done anything.
Detectives went to Andros's house to arrest him.
We were very guarded, very cautious when going into the house. I can remember just being under the impression that I could just feel his presence in the house. I remember seeing his wallet there. I remember seeing his pager there. These were indications to me that Fred Andros was in the house. After we cleared that first floor, we went up to the second floor. There was an attic door open just a crack. I opened it slightly, and there was a window that was coming in. The sun was coming out, and I could just tell that somebody was in there the way there was dust moving around. I said, "Fred, here I come. I'm coming up the steps." As we turned around the corner, we saw Fred face down on the carpet. The gun was right next to him, and he was bleeding. He put the gun under his chin, right here, pulled the trigger. The bullet traveled up through his mouth, exited here between his eyes, and actually was embedded in the wall directly at the top of the staircase where I was going up.
Miraculously, Andros survived the suicide attempt, even though the lower part of his face was shot away. When he recovered, he and Dawn were brought to trial, and the critical timeline evidence was presented to the jury. They were both found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Andros only survived for a year and a half when he died of a heart attack.
Fred had some mystique about him. Apparently that was appealing to other people. He was able to have relationships with women. He was able to motivate Dawn Silvernail to do this murder. was likable on the surface, but deep down, probably one of the most evil I've seen.
Until the day he died, Fred Andros never admitted he had anything to do with the murder of Susan Passett.